Good afternoon, everyone. For those already in the room and watching us from FB Live, hello to all of you. Sit tight and the program will begin shortly. In the meantime, we'd like to remind everyone that the event is conducted over Zoom today is an exclusive event to individuals who have been provided the session link. Should you wish to invite others to the event, the rest of the audience may enjoy this afternoon's activity through Facebook stream on FinTech Alliance Facebook page. Once again, thank you for being here today, and we will begin the program in a few minutes. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us via Zoom. And for those who are joining us via Facebook Live, thank you for joining us as well on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon for another installment of Spotlight Forum. My name is Davey Engay. I am the head of investment here at Idea Space Foundation, and I'll be your host for today. Before we proceed with our program proper, we would like to thank our partners for today's event, Kubo Philippines and JCI. Kubo Philippines is the country's leading startup support organization. Together with its sister brand Idea Space Philippines, we collaborate with stakeholders from corporate, government, multilateral agencies, venture capital, and the academe to create a strong network of support for our startups. To date, we have supported over 500 startups and have invested more than 200 million pesos in our startup ecosystem. For our other sponsor, JCI Manila, JCI Manila is the Asia's first and premier leadership development organization of approximately 500 regular members composed of young entrepreneurs, businessmen, social civic captains, and professionals who aim to develop their leadership skills by creating a positive change in the community. So again, we would like to thank our partners for this event. I can speak for everyone when I say the last 2 years have been a roller coaster ride for everyone. Travel restrictions brought about COVID-19 pandemic have posed a unique challenge for everyone. Am I right? Particularly access to banking services has been very challenging, especially with the travel restrictions that has been placed. Luckily enough, we were prepared. And today we'll be hearing from three of our industry disruptors in the fintech space and how the pandemic became a watershed moment for them. Before we jump onto our program, we just have a few house rules for our lovely audience here on Zoom today. We just want to remind everyone to remain on mute and keep your video off unless instructed otherwise. If you would like to engage, please use the chat feature and to react and engage during the program. With that settled, we got some quite exciting things lined up for you today. And like I mentioned earlier, we'll be hearing from three industry leaders and how they've been changing the fintech space. I myself, I'm extremely excited to hear from our speakers today. But of course, that's not all. We also have a fireside chat later for everyone to get up close and personal with our speakers. And you just might never know, they just might give you the secret sauce to their success. So sit tight and stay with us until the end. To start, I'd like to call on the virtual stage Commissioner Kelvin Lee of the Securities and Exchange Commission for our welcoming remarks. Commissioner?
There. Thank you, Dave. So to the FinTech Alliance Philippines, to Chairman Lito Villanueva, to our distinguished speakers today, members, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the SEC, a pleasant good afternoon to all of you. It's my honor to officially kick off this spotlight session virtually from here in Makati. I am for everyone's knowledge, I have just moved into our Makati office and I'm so happy to finally be downtown. This is my first digital event that I am handling via Zoom from this location. So I'm very happy to be able to be here. And I'm glad to see so many familiar names here. To the companies highlighted in this forum, SeedIn Technology, to Home Credit, Investree, and among others. I commend your efforts to expand financing options in this country, especially to those with low income and SMEs. This is vital in the country's achievement of its goal to have inclusive economic growth. Now, as your regulator, I'd like to emphasize the fintech sector's role in nation building. While companies must turn a profit and are, of course, responsible to their shareholders, I hope we do not lose focus of the vision of improving financial inclusion in the Philippines. In the latest BSP financial inclusion statistics, while there has been significant improvement, account ownership by adults of bank accounts is still roughly at 50+%. On the positive side, this just shows you the vast opportunity that remains in this space. What's encouraging is the rapid growth of alternative finance, which will be discussed today within the country, and its growing significance in achieving financial inclusion. Now, rest assured that the SEC is with you in this journey to ensure that the corporate sector and capital markets are secure and continue to thrive. In relation to fintech, the SEC continues to be guided by our basic approach to fintech regulation, finding that sweet spot that both addresses the objectives of the current system of regulations and at the same time accommodating the innovations afforded by fintech. In fact, allow me to share with you some very important fintech initiatives very quickly we have recently pursued at the Commission. We have issued our crowdfunding rules in 2019, and we are currently in the process of issuing new guidelines on the registration of online lending platforms. In 2021, we created our FinTech Innovation Office, which is an innovation hub with a mandate to work on and advise the Commission and Bank on fintech innovations. And of course, we have our digital asset offering and digital asset exchange rules, which are undergoing consultations with the Asian Development Bank and the University of Cambridge to finalize the draft. So that's coming soon also. And just recently, we gave the green light to go ahead with the country's first ever digital bond issuance, which utilizes distributed ledger technology to support the regular operations of the bond registry and depository. On a personal note, I have also had the privilege to have separate meetings recently with the incoming Lord Mayor of London, Professor Michael Minnelli, also separate meetings with senior regulators from the United Kingdom Financial Conduct Authority and professors of the University of Cambridge, where we discuss how to promote fintech innovation and, of course, how to regulate them. Be assured that the SEC will continue these efforts in order to realize our country's potential of becoming a tech hub in the region. And so with that, I'd just like to leave you with this parting message of encouraging you to simply follow the rules and comply with the law. After all, the Commission, we're not here to make life difficult. We're here to make sure there's a fair playing field in the industry. We help ensure that all entities like you comply with the law and that the rights of the public are protected and secure. At the end of the day, I hope that we will all succeed together, that with all of our efforts with our fellow regulators and with the help and cooperation of the private sector, such as yourselves, we can create a country with a truly inclusive economy. As aptly said by Helen Keller, alone we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Thank you, and God bless us all.
Thank you for that, Commissioner. Indeed, it is a delicate balancing act, especially promoting innovation in fintech while keeping the investors protected and ensuring market stability. Always great to know that we have our regulator support, and we're glad to have here today with us, Commissioner. That we have heard from our regulators, and I know lots of you have been itching to hear from our speakers today. So I won't keep you all waiting for long, and I'd like to welcome to the virtual stage the Director and Treasurer of Home Credit Philippines, Zdenek Jankovsky. Zdenek?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Commissioner Lee, for your introductory remarks. And I just would like to say, as one of the trustees of FinTech Alliance Philippines, how much we appreciate the partnership with SEC, and that it is really a pleasure to work with your organization, and just how you are welcoming feedback from the industry for the prepared regulation, and how we were able to work together in last year since FinTech Alliance started to be more active. So let me share a little bit about home credit. I'm pretty sure that Commissioner Lee knows a lot about home credit, but let me share also with others. Home credit is in the Philippines for slightly over years. I can probably say that most of this time I am with the company, and during this 8 years, we have served more than 8 million Filipinos nationwide who got from us their first regulated credit opportunities. On this slide, I would like to use a principle that is coming from Simon Sinek, Golden Circle. This is the way how I try to look on home credit business, and just look on that why we do our business, how we do our business, and what we are doing. So in the heart of our business, why we are doing this business is really empowering every Filipino to be financially capable. And home credit is a financing company which provides lending to its customers, and we have two main types of products. Acquisition products, where we are getting in touch with the customer for the first time, and then we are known for being in the malls with all our presence, which I will talk about later, where we are providing financing of the consumer durables. And for the customers who pay well their loan, then they get from us offers for subsequent financial products like cash loans, like credit cards. We are the only financing company that is not connected with any kind of bank that has a credit card license from BSP. And we have a different type of the value-added services that our customers can get from us, and different virtual limit opportunity through our new product called Kvarta. So home credit is present around the country. We are present at 10,000 points of sales, and we significantly expanded our footprint online. When I got here 8 years ago, The relationship with our customers was really very much offline, when the customer needs to see the sales agent and just do everything on the laptop with the sales agent. Now the customers are doing majority of the work as a self-service. And we have a mobile app, which is a monthly 2 million active users. And we have already done about 200,000 QR code transactions in 200,000 different locations available. We are a preferred partner by many brands. The brands are including Oppo, Realme, Asus, but also SM, Robinsons Appliance, Abenson. So we are present countrywide. As I have mentioned already, the face of home credit is still our more than 7,000 sales agents, but the relationship of the customer with home credit now is faced with a mobile app. We have a powerful tool which helps the customers to obtain our services and also make some servicing of their loan. So in our mobile app, the customers can use their credit card, they can pay using the QRPH network, they can do the payment of their bills, they can have different loyalty programs, discounts, shop on credit, and basically do all the servicing by themselves. So at this point in time, when the customer is deciding to choose a new mobile phone, home credit is really one of the go-to brands, and then they can go and choose in our marketplace, in our mobile app, from more than 10,000 different SKUs so that they can shop for home credit with home credit. Home credit is in the Philippines for 8 years, and as mentioned at the beginning, this forum is about disruptions. I must say that I consider home credit already a former disruptor, because as you can see, in the first years, we were disrupting, we were getting our position on the market, but then throughout the years, we have increased our business to a very big scale. Before pandemic, we were already disbursing nearly 50 billion in loans, and you can see that in 2020, the new volumes of the loans that were disbursed dropped by more than 50%, but already in 2021, we were again on the growth level, and 2022, we should have already the best year ever when it comes to new volumes. So today in the discussion with the other disruptors, I feel already as an incumbent who is waiting for being challenged and disrupted by the new players like the peer-to-peer lenders who will be talking to you later. Last but not least, I would like to share with you that home credit role is also recognized by the major financing institutions around the world, and the funding of our business is mainly driven by the local banks lending, but we also obtained some ESG loans from major players like Deutsche Bank and Citi. We can see the impact of home credit, which was recognized by this institution with elimination of poverty, gender equality that the customers can, or just a lot of women can get from home credit loans that they are using for productive purposes. All the digitization effort leads to a lot of savings of trees compared to that how many pages we had to print earlier. And we are onboarding customers to their first lending experience, regulated experience, and you can see that nearly 30% of our customers is coming from the young age bracket below 29. So that would be it from me for today, and I'm looking for the discussion later after the presentation from the disruptors.
Thank you so much, Z. Incredible work Home Credit has been doing since its launch in 2013. Next up on today's speaker, we're going to hear from another disruptor in the industry, catering to SMEs, businesses that definitely needed them, especially over the pandemic. And I'd like to call on Southeast Asia's largest business financing platform, SeedIn, and their executive director, Edison Tsai. Edison?
Good afternoon, and thank you for the today's event invitation. Can we have the presentation flash on the screen? Thank you. All right. So SeedIn is a alternative business financing platform for small to medium businesses. And the issue that we are trying to address here is the SME financing gap, which is estimated to be about at least at about 60 billion US dollars, and 60 more than 60% are from the Asia Pacific. So some of the reasons for SMEs financing includes working capitals, operating expense, marketing, sales, business expansion, inventory purchase, debt consolidation, economic downturns, and in the past 2 years, we have experienced a lot of businesses that are also being affected by the pandemic. Next slide. So our solution, SeedIn, is a web-based and mobile-based platform that allows businesses to matchmake with our investors from around the world. So it is a short-term financing, a P2B financing platform, and we have done projects across Southeast Asia from Singapore, Taiwan, Cambodia, Philippines, of over 200 million US since 2014. Next slide. We are regulated in Singapore, which the brand started by MAS, and in the Philippines, it is under the crowdfunding rules, as mentioned by Comley earlier, for under the SEC crowdfunding regulation. Next. Our team comprised of local and also our overseas management team from Philippines and Taiwan. Okay, next. And our model, our alternative financing model allows the SME owners to be able to apply for their working capital requirements on our platform, while our investors will be able to select the project that they can invest in, and the projects are usually ranging from 1 to 12 months. The returns of for our investors is average of 7% to 15%. So you're looking at about 0.5 to 1% per month in terms of fixed rate returns. And the other difference is that the projects are what we call a secured business financing. So they are secured through means of collaterals. Our partner institutions include local banks, universal banks, as well as we have partnered with government institutions in promoting financial inclusivity, as well as part of the FinTech Alliance and FinTech Philippines associations. Our mobile wallet partners include GCash, Coins, Zendit, Pinamix, Denari, and as well as China payment methods. So we have funded over our investors come from across the world, from from 7 continents, over 80 countries, and about 1/3 are comprised of overseas Filipino workers that are helping Filipino businesses grow. And it's a diverse of industries from trading, financing, real estate, IT, retail, marketing, e-commerce, renewables, health, and BPO. Our mission is very simple. It is Filipinos for the success of Filipino SMEs. And since 2017, we have helped hundreds of businesses in the Philippines to get the working capital needs that they require for their business to survive, to thrive, and to survive the pandemic. We have a strict due diligence process for the businesses that are applying on the platform. We require certain documents that allows us to come up with the credit score for the business, and that is adhered to global standards for the business credit score. And that credit score will determine the loan terms, and as well as the loan duration and tenor and interest that we can propose to the borrower, or as SEC mention it's issuers. So we call them issuers on our platform to match make with our network of investors around the world. Next. Next slide, sorry. Okay, I think we lost the slide. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I think we lost the slide. All right, there you go. So some of our Philippine businesses that are funded through our platform, from retail to trading to IT companies, wholesale, and the amounts range from anywhere from 1 million to 15 million per project. And the interest rates range from 5, 6, 7% all the way to 10, 12, even up to 15%. Next. Some of the Southeast Asia projects that we have funded in Singapore, Taiwan, Cambodia, ranging from distribution centers to F&B to technology company to hospitality. The amounts range from 200,000 US to 1.6 million US per deal, per project. And the reasons can be for expansion, for inventory purchase, among others. So to join SeedIn, you just have to download our mobile app. As an investor, you can download it on Google Play and App Store and fill up our KYC requirements, deposit your initial fund, and start investing and grow and start your investment journey with us. And as a business owner, you can also register on our website, that's seedinph.tech/register, submit the required documents, and begin your financing journey with us. Lastly, we are on FB. You can find us on FB page. We have a FB group comprised of our investors, as well as other social media in Twitter and IG. Thank you, and this ends our overview for the SeedIn platform. We hope to continue our growth journey with you as investor and SME business for the Philippine economy to continually sustain and grow and thrive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Edison. Truly, it is a revolutionary technology that we have here, and definitely we invite everyone to start your financing journey with SeedIn. Now, we have heard from Home Credit, from SeedIn, two industry disruptors that has shaped the country's fintech landscape over the past 2 years. Now, it's time to hear from yet another industry veteran who has an extensive history of working with and scaling fintech companies. I'd like to welcome Mr. Alex Capulong of Investree Philippines, and we're excited to have you here. The floor is yours, Alex.
Hi, thanks so much, Davey. I apologize for the low quality of my video here. I'm having technical difficulties with my desktop, but let me see if I can share the screen for my presentation. I think it's working properly. So thank you again, Davey, for the kind introduction, and I'm looking forward to our discussion later on. I think we've just heard as well from our compatriots at SeedIn, and similar to SeedIn, Investree is also in the crowdfunding space. We are a regional company that started several years ago in Indonesia, 2015, from a group of ex-bankers in the region. They saw the opportunity and the gap where there's the large portion of businesses, sole proprietorship corporations, SMEs, are still suffering from cash flow gaps across Southeast Asia. And with the rise of digitization, they saw an opportunity for us to set up the platform and assist where we can. So our Indonesian business today has gone quite mature. We are already as a crowdfunder, we've managed to work directly with the government in Indonesia, where we're able to provide SMEs in even eastern and western parts of their provinces a chance to get funding directly through our platform, and with the partnerships that we have with the different banking institutions, government and regulatory that we're hoping to build in the Philippines, we're able to direct notes. And currently, the business has done quite well, and we're happy to say that we've recently now started looking at acquiring banks in Indonesia. Our Thailand business started a bit later in 2018, where again we saw that the space was ripe for the B2B SME supply chain, where there's still a lot of investors that aren't banks looking to also deploy capital, where there are larger cap institutions in the country that are still suffering, as large as they are, suffering from cash flow gaps. So our business in Thailand is focused now with a higher level cap and is doing well. And we have the Philippines started just in 2020, and having received our permanent license from the SEC this year, we're off to the races and really now fine-tune our business model here in country, and hoping that with our compatriots in the space, we're able to provide more assistance, especially as we come out now from this next phase of our development, coming out from the 2 years in the pandemic. In the country, we see that SMEs still form a large chunk of our GDP, as small as they are. At Investree, we're happy to help, especially those because of their specific business models, services in particular, or those in the media industry that are asset light and may face difficulty getting financing from traditional sources. We're able to work with them and connect them with different institutional investors as well. So at Investree currently, we work with institutional investors of different sizes to also help them match and deploy capital, and really help out where we can, where they're able to invest in alternative assets. So as mentioned, our model as a crowdfunding platform is really quite straightforward. As the platform, we assist SMEs by scoring them through our methods. We're use both traditional and alternative methods to provide a credit score based on their financial history, their business prospects, and also the invoices and finance and purchase orders that they deal with in their regular course of business with their supply chains. With that, we're able to then list them onto the Investree platform for offer to the different institutional investors that we work with. So through this, we're able to provide both our stakeholders their needs, where the SMEs, on one hand, are able to access the capital that they need to grow and also to manage their monthly operations while waiting for payments, and also in the institutional investors looking for other avenues to deploy their capital and earn yields. And we're glad to have been working with now the different banks, rural banks, and also small cap institutions here in country who've been working hand in hand with us to support the SME market. To date, this is actually quite old. I think we're already serving over 120 SMEs to date, and we're on track to double that by the end of the year. And we're seeing that more and more of the country more and more of the country's businesses are now starting to ramp up after coming out of the last 2 years. And as Investree currently, we're working mostly out of Luzon, and we have plans now to expand towards Visayas and Mindanao, as we've seen that our fellow countrymen there are also in need of this kind of service. And thankfully, with the rise of digital payments in the country, we're able to service those businesses now. As mentioned, we work with the banks, but we're also quite different, and we're able to help different institutions credit assess and deploy capital that otherwise they would have difficulty deploying. Um, and yes, going now, I really just give a quick headline on our different products before ending my presentation, where I look forward to the discussion. So currently at Investree, we offer two types of notes. We help issuers list these on our platform, these debt securities. As Edison mentioned earlier, we call them issuers, right? We help them issue promissory notes backed by either purchase orders that they've made with recurring transactions with either government or large corporations, either local or foreign. And we also help them with their invoice. Currently, we're also looking to develop different types of contract-based financing in the future to help our SMEs with the kind of financial products that they need and further enhance the participation in the capital markets and really help drive the growth for our country. So yeah, that's my quick introduction to Investree, and thank you so much for having me in this call, and looking forward to our discussion now.
Thank you for that, Alex. With that, that's all of our speakers for today. Indeed, over the recent past, we've noticed a lot of businesses are trying to scale up again, and we really need support from institutions like you guys to help us steer the recovery here in the Philippines. COVID-19 has hit us a lot, but we have a very enabling regulatory environment, and which have allowed a lot more fintech firms to prosper in the Philippines. And definitely we've noticed the same here at Idea Space Philippines and Kubo. And as corporate accelerators ourselves, Idea Space have been working closely with organizations like FinTech Alliance to ensure that we are able to provide the right support and mentorship to startups who are looking to be an industry disruptor. Next up, we have all of our three speakers here today for a quick fireside chat. And for this fireside chat, I would like to invite all of our speakers to turn on their camera and join me in the virtual stage. Good afternoon, everyone. So, and our topic for today will be lending in a time of pandemic. No? So, if you don't mind, I'd like to go straight to our last two speakers for today. So for both Investree and SeedIn, I'd like to understand. I understand you guys both recently got licenses from the regulators, SEC, to operate as a crowdfunding platform. So, what made you decide to enter the Philippine market? Definitely, you have a big presence in the regional space. What was your turning point to say, I want to join the Philippine market? I'll start with Alex.
Yeah, so I think for us, right, the Philippines has always been, it's a large country here. We've by both geography and GDP, but there's been this existing gap for a while, and with the rise of technology and having perfected this model in, well, what is it, but doing very well in our home country in Indonesia and our Thai office, we've also seen that the regulatory framework is right here in country. We've also seen the rise of digitization, making it easier to serve an archipelago like ours. And we've already known for a while that a lot of the SMEs here in country still suffer from a large cash flow gap, and thought that yes, 2020 is about the right time. It's just that we entered about the same time as the pandemic. But nonetheless, right, we've seen over the last 2 years that businesses are still thrive. We've survived. We've been able to now build the roots that we need to, and we're looking forward to the rest of the growth here in country.
Interesting. How about you, Edison? What was your decision point to enter the Philippine market?
Yes, David. Prior to entering Philippines, SeedIn has already operated in countries such as Singapore, Taiwan, Indonesia, and Cambodia. So it actually makes sense to look at Philippines as one of the roadmap for Southeast Asia market, given the vibrancy of the market, the also because we serve both markets, the borrowers, the issuers, which are the SME owners, and the investors that provides the investment or lending capital to these issuers. So the Philippines market, as Alex mentioned earlier, is a very good market in the Southeast Asia roadmap. Given the median age of 25 years old, we have more than 100 million population, and as well as a sizable SME financing gap of at least $4 billion in the Philippines. So with regards to so it actually makes a lot of sense that that we entered the market. We started exploring the Philippines market in 2016, and we were officially entered the market in 2017, which represents our fourth country in the Southeast Asia region. And we have then since experienced a very good growth since it started, and that was before the pandemic. And the pandemic actually propelled our business to double because of the increased number of people, investors looking for alternative financing, alternative investment, and the increased number of SMEs who have suffered from the pandemic and are looking for ways to mitigate their financing gap. So I think that's in a nutshell why we think Philippines is and we have also seen a lot of growth for the past 2 years in both the demand for the market for financial services, digital services, and as well as the interest of foreign investors in local fintech startups. Thank you.
Yeah, we also hear that the ES space we do see a lot of foreign investment pouring in, but we also cannot discount that over the past 2 years due to the pandemic, a lot of businesses have not been doing well due to the and right now as we speak due to the inflation and the valuation of the peso. I just want to ask all of our speakers here, how has this impacted your portfolio, your day-to-day operations as well, and how are you able to extend, say for example, other businesses, help to other businesses as well. I would like to start with Z. How has concretized the pandemic, the challenges over the pandemic?
Well, I think these are two different questions. So the challenges around the pandemic really need to be split into the customers, the portfolio that we acquired before the pandemic, and then there is the vulnerable portfolio of the customers who were working in the strongly affected industries like transportation or tourism. Then how you deal with the defaults and just how you help these customers, and just then how you follow up on the Bayanihan Act impacts on the business. So I can talk about it for an hour. So let's not get that deep. The primary thing is really why we can withstand this is that we have strong shareholder and we have a diversified funding, and we were able to absorb the losses, and the losses were significant. But the business is back on track, and we already are in a nice profitable growth trajectory. Going back to the situation now with dollar and the inflation and just the overall macroeconomic crisis that is about to start around the world. I think the impact will come later this year. At this point in time, there is no significant impact. People are not losing jobs. It's like also we have the election year, and just if you look on the Philippines map and history, then you always have to use the first half of the election year, like a good economic performance. There is the government spending, and after the election, the economy starts to slow down. So we actually accounted for it. We did a lot of thinking before the end of the pandemic, because I actually consider a pandemic to be over. Now it is an endemic in our eyes. And then we see what is going on with the inflation and the war and all of this impact that is going on the overall economy. So we did the underwriting changes during the pandemic. We started to be a little bit more open for the lending at the end of the pandemic, but we didn't come back to the pre-pandemic stage. So you need to keep the reasonable level of the prudency. Otherwise, the risk cost might get out of control. So, and how we can help these businesses? As I've mentioned in my presentation, we provide a lot of funding through the unsecured cash loans, which are getting our customers as individuals as their second loan once they pay the first loan with us. And about half of this loan is potentially used for the productive purpose. So we are actually extending a lot of MSME lending, but it is not based on the financial performance of the company, but it's based on that how we trust the owner of the business, and we can help them if they build a good credit record with us, and just then they are eligible for the loan.
Thank you for that, C. Has it been the same for you, Edison and Alex? I understand it is more of a crowdsourcing platform, so it's an intermediary. But were there any measures that were taken during the pandemic as well, such as like changing your underwriting scorecard in order for you to be able to keep your portfolio intact or safe?
Yeah, I guess for us, definitely, we've been constant even now. Actually, it was easier to forecast with the pandemic because generally there was slowdown in some industries. Now we're monitoring the impacts of what's going on with commodities inflation based on the coming from the US driven, and even the shortages in supply here. So as Z mentioned, we'll probably see that later part of the year, but we're already starting to see because we are in the middle of the supply chain that we finance, we're already starting to see during the pandemic, because we're also building out our portfolio there, we're able to optimize coming in already with an understanding of what industries were really hit and slow down. We're able to target more of those with a consistent cash flows, and they were the ones in need, right? They had billings happening, but some things were slowing down. And for us, it's also with that willingness, especially now. We're monitoring what's going on. We'll see if where prices are moving, especially in the space that we play at, some margins may be squeezed. So we're careful as we underwrite. We see our issuers not just as clients, we maintain relationships with them. We see them more as partners, right? And we can see understandably that we're being hit. We're able to restructure our portfolio and their payment plans such that they're able to continue operating as per usual, while we're also able to make sure that our investors are getting the returns that we promised to them and maintaining our books. With what's going on now, we're very careful to see those heavy in manufacturing. As I know those in the import-export industries, as they will really feel the impacts for essential services and other luxury. Those with more flexible demand curves, we're seeing that they're going to be a bit more okay. And so for us, it's really just working with them and making sure that that trust that Z has already alluded to, even as a corporation, we maintain that trust with them. We understand that they're SMEs in this sector. They don't have an infinite pool of funds, and that's why we're here to help them. And we just help maintain what works for everybody to ensure we can keep the relationship ongoing.
And for Edison, do you also employ same measures similar to Alex and C?
Right. So the pandemic is really a game changer for a lot of businesses, and for the for us, for all of us. So part of the measurements, we made three major measurements during the pandemic. One is industry focus. We are prior to the pandemic, we are quite you can say industry agnostic, but during the pandemic, we are forced to look at certain industries as higher risk industries, including including F&B, travel and tours, the travel industry, as well as hospitality industries. Likewise, there are also certain bright spots during the pandemic, like the essential industries like FMCG, pharma, and utilities. So it is really something that we had to focus in terms of we have to relook at how the industries are being affected. The second thing that we had to adjust are the rates because prior to the pandemic, we were offering higher rates for our investors. But during the pandemic, and as well as the implementation of certain measures like the Bayanihan Act, Bayanihan 1 and 2, as Z has mentioned earlier, we also had to recalibrate the rates for both the issuers so we can help them survive the pandemic, as well as calibrate the rates to offer to our investors. So the third measurement is the credit score. We had since then implemented additional measures for due diligence as well as recognition of certain assets in the support of the Personal Securities Act. And we have also implemented the business credit score that allows us to credit score the business similar to how a personal FICO score is being measured. So for the business score, we apply the S&P global rating that allows us to rate them similar to a bonds, and that also gives additional assurance on the part of our investors that the platform, as a crowdfunding intermediary, is doing its part in ensuring the safety of our investors' investments. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Edison. So it's creating a scoring system in order for you to better inform your business strategies. No, and for our there's one question that's filled it in through the chat is that in our channels in our say platform, do we see companies who are just starting out to getting asking crowdfunding platform to be able to fund them as well? Do we include them in our roster of companies?
I guess that's for us and me and Edison. So yeah, for us at Investree, I think we take a look at the minimum of 1 year existence. We've actually started working. There's a company that we've seen expand over the course of their relationship with us. They used to work in trading. Now they've gone into fabrications and manufacturing somewhere down in Southern Luzon. So we see, and that's where they face the most difficulty, right? They've got no history yet. So for us as the platform, we do our best to provide that alternative scoring method and help build the trust and match them with the right investors who have the risk appetite to take on these notes from these new businesses, where as a platform, our brand and our credibility helps back that.
Yeah. Okay. For us, I mean, that's great that you have alternative scoring system in order for you to be able to screen them properly. Here at Idea Space, as mentioned earlier, we are a corporate accelerator, and we do accept startup with minimal operating history. And what we do is we connect them to mentors in order for them to capacitate them, in order for them to be able to expand and scale their businesses. So just a bit of a plug there for our organization. So we opened our cohort 10, so it's just our 10th intake for startup companies. So you can apply there and be able to access the network that we have here at DSP. So now on to the discussion. So I came from banking myself, and it has always been one of the last industry to adapt due to regulatory restriction. It's not just in banking, but finance in general. So how have we been trying, or what steps have we been taking in order for us to be one step ahead and be able to continue with our innovation efforts? So I guess I'll start with C. You've been in the space here in the Philippines for longer than most of our other speakers, and how have you been being one step ahead of our regular? Do we work hand in hand with them so that we'll be more informed and we'll be able to kind of cater or like say strategize better?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we are together in the FinTech Alliance Philippines. That's also reason, we are active in the Credit Card Issuers Association. We are active in the Philippine Financing Association. And we need to communicate with the regulators. And I think that there is one very good example about important regulatory action that was done during the pandemic, which was issuance of the rate cap for the financing companies and online lending platforms, which actually is a very sensitive topic to issue any price regulation. But there was a need for this type of the regulation because some of the online lenders were really doing inappropriate type of the business when it comes to the usury rates, and just charging like 20% per week or things like this, and then shaming the customers. So I am happy that we were able to work with BSP and SEC on preparation of the business cases. I was personally part of the working group on this, and then we described who are our customers, what is their risk profile, and what is the reasonable rate for that can be applied. The rate cap was set above that rate, which means that for the businesses that are doing lending in a fair way, the rate cap is not a problem. The rate cap is a problem for those who were charging 20% per week or things like that. So I'm happy that we were able to find a common language, and together with Lito and with Angelo Madrid, who was the time in Tala and is now in Maya Bank, we did, I think, quite good job when it comes to the work with our regulators. But it was very professionally run by BSP and SEC as well.
And for Alex and Edison, you recently got your licenses from the regulators. How has that journey been for you? Like with all of these regulations, sometimes we operate in gray areas, right? So does more regulation means better for us, or in your journey with the SEC, it's more of openness and being able, just like Z, having the open discussion with different regulators for them to be able to know which spaces that they can go into?
I think it's similar, right? Especially in the space we're going to, there's also little precedent in other countries. They're doing it differently there. And for us, we have a proactive relationship with the regulators as well. We provide feedback, and they actually, during our discussions, they appreciate that since the rules themselves are relatively new, and we provide active feedback based on our experiences. They appreciate that we also provide the feedback from the stakeholders that they're protecting, both from the investor side and also on the issuer side, so that we can further develop. And it's as you mentioned earlier, as a disruptor, we understand that it's part of our rationale for existing is to help, and we carve out a space here in the Philippines and work with the regulators to make sure that we're creating the best value for everybody involved while maintaining the protections necessary.
That's great. And protection is very important, especially in certain times, right? So for Edison, how has it been for you?
The model that we have adopted in terms of compliance in each of the country that we operate in, the first and foremost, of course, is transparency in our operations, and also to our investors and issuers. So prior to getting the license, a lot of the works that we do have we sort of have to what we call a self-regulate, right? We have as almost like an SRO, is that we need to operate with the regulations in mind, even if the rules haven't been implemented, because in every country we operate, the first and foremost currency that we work on is trust with our investors, trust with our borrowers or issuers, as so that they can put their trust on the on us, which is the crowdfunding intermediary platform. So the license acquisition process allows us to further and standardize the process of disclosures to our issuers and our investors. And it also reaffirms the trust that we have been building throughout the years. So definitely, it's a big step forward in the Philippines when we had our license, and as same as when we had it in Singapore when we acquired the MAS license back in 2015, 2016. So it is very important. I think, and we would love to see more and more crowdfunding platforms get their license so that we can grow the industry together. As you know, currently there are only 3 companies with the CFA license in the Philippines. So it is still a nascent stage, but we would definitely love to see it grow throughout in the near future. More and more companies we hope to get a license.
Thank you for that, Edison. Indeed, trust is a very important currency in the space of banking and finance, because without establishing that first, it is really hard to go in blind and not knowing who are we dealing with, right? So thank you for that very insightful discussion. Before we move on to the next part of the event, I just want to take this opportunity, since we have our speakers here today, to do a quick photo op. So I believe the FinTech Alliance team will be taking that photo op for us rather. So Vida, can you please take a photo of us? One. Okay, I think Vida was able to take that photo. Thank you again, our speakers, for joining us in this fireside chat, and also providing a very insightful discussion for everyone to bring and take home. For the next part of the program, I would like to call on Mr. Lito Villanueva for the closing remarks. Mr. Lito is the chairman of FinTech Alliance. So, Sir Lito.
Thank you so much, Navi. And of course, good afternoon to everyone. Thanks to our partners, of course, ACI, Google, and Idea Space, and of course, our very dynamic resource speakers led by Z, Edison, and Alex, and of course, SEC Commissioner Kelvin Lee for opening the Spotlight Regional episode this afternoon. You know, in my recent trip to Puerto Princesa in Palawan, my team and I had the opportunity to do an on-ground financial education campaign together with the Department of Education that promotes financial inclusion. So alongside the task of doing both, both management, symposia, and panel discussions, I also had the opportunity to talk with some of the top student leaders of our country, coming from all 18 regions nationwide. I came across this one brilliant senior high school student, and he said to me, "You know, sir, there are a lot of fresh ideas from different sectors, especially the youth, but there is no way of transforming our ideas into reality because we do not have the money." I agreed with him on the first part, that indeed we have a lot of fresh ideas, but I disagree that it is impossible to turn them into reality. Micro, small, medium, and nano entrepreneurs play a huge role in facilitating and propelling economic development due to their agility and innovation. Yet our entrepreneurs still struggle on accessing loans, which in turn limits their capacity to grow and develop. There are different barriers why many are still adamant. First, there is this Filipino notion that when you seek for financing or avail loans, or in the common language utang, you are perceived as someone in dire situation. Moreover, we still have information gaps to address, as evidenced by the very question of the student I met, and the question on who do we get to, or who do we go to, and how do we access financing, and how do we seize available opportunities. Alternative financing encompasses many types of finance solutions outside the traditional processes of regulated legacy banks and capital markets. So this afternoon, we have heard from 3 different resource speakers, from Investree, from SeedIn, and from Home Credit. And, these are some examples of alternative credit. So this allows individuals, especially MSMEs, to avail of financing options that are suited to their needs. Alternative financing can provide access to funds. And fortunately, we have disruptors to help fill in the gaps and help Filipinos in accessing flexible financing options that can aid people with their ventures. In today's forum, we have established that while there are still gaps that need to be addressed, through innovation and collaboration, there is no such thing as impossible. We just have to keep on reaching, educating, and inspiring more people to realize that their success stories are just clicks away. Through the continuous improvement with how we interact with data and through the use of AI and machine learning, I am certain that alternative financing is bound for greater heights in the next years to come. We are fortunate to have progressive and proactive regulators, and of course, thanks to the BSP and the SEC, among others, for institutionalizing balancing act policies that will help drive growth for businesses and foster development for our MSMEs and millions of enterprising Filipinos. As we welcome a new administration tomorrow, and as we embrace a digital-first society, FinTech Alliance.ph will continue advocating for policies and practices that will benefit the fintech industry. Our trajectory tells us that we are on the path to becoming Asia's prime digital hotspot that will spur employment, opportunities, and economic advancement that are inclusive for all Filipinos. We just have to continue the synergy among the industry players so that someday when I meet again this student, he will tell me, "Sir, hindi pala po imposible." Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you for those parting words, Sir Lito. No? And with that, that caps off our event for today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today in this event. And stay tuned for the next installment of Spotlight Forum. And be sure to like us on Facebook page. So the FinTech Alliance and Kubo Philippines, like us our next installment of Spotlight Forum. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.